It was a crisp autumn evening when I decided to take a solitary hike in the woods near my hometown. I had always been drawn to the serene beauty of nature, and the woods had been my refuge since childhood. But little did I know that this seemingly innocent hike would lead me into a nightmare beyond my wildest imagination. As I ventured deeper into the woods, a sense of unease crept over me. The air felt colder, and the usual sounds of rustling leaves and chirping birds seemed to fade away. I dismissed it as my overactive imagination and pressed on, driven by my love for the wilderness. As the daylight waned, I began to hear faint whispers in the wind. They were soft, barely audible, but they sent shivers down my spine. I tried to ignore them, convincing myself that it was just the wind playing tricks on me. But the whispers grew louder, more distinct, and seemed to be coming from all around me. My heart started to race, and a sense of dread enveloped me. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched, that something was lurking in the shadows, just out of sight. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and paranoia as I stumbled through the dense foliage, desperately trying to find my way back to the safety of civilization. The whispers continued to haunt me, growing more incessant and sinister with each step. They seemed to taunt me, mocking my fear and confusion. I tried to call out for help, but my voice was lost in the oppressive silence of the woods. My emotions were in turmoil. I felt a mix of terror, paranoia, and despair. My once beloved woods had become a living nightmare, and I was trapped in its grasp. I couldn't trust my senses anymore, as the hallucinations seemed to blur the lines between reality and illusion. Shadows danced in the corner of my vision, and I heard phantom footsteps behind me, but every time I turned around, there was nothing there. I tried to retrace my steps, but the path seemed to shift and change, leading me in circles. Panic gripped me as I realized that I was lost, and the whispers grew louder, taunting me with their cryptic messages. My mind was unraveling, and I feared that I was losing my sanity. Exhausted and on the brink of collapse, I stumbled upon a clearing in the woods. In the center stood a decrepit cabin, barely standing, its windows shattered and its roof caved in. It seemed to exude an aura of malevolence, and I hesitated to approach it. But with nowhere else to go, I mustered my courage and entered the cabin, driven by a desperate hope of finding answers. The interior was pitch black, and the air was heavy with a foul stench. I could hear the whispers now, louder than ever, as if they were emanating from within the walls of the cabin. The walls were covered with strange symbols and markings, seemingly carved by a madman. I couldn't decipher their meaning, but they sent chills down my spine. As I moved further into the cabin, I saw a flickering light in the corner. With trepidation, I approached it, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It was a mirror, but my reflection was distorted, twisted into a grotesque, nightmarish form. I recoiled in horror, but the whispers urged me to look closer, to confront the truth. I hesitantly peered into the mirror again, and this time, my reflection spoke to me. It spoke in a raspy, otherworldly voice, promising me power, knowledge, and freedom from my torment. It whispered secrets that no mortal should know, promising me untold riches and unimaginable power if I would just embrace the madness that beckoned. My emotions were a whirlwind, torn between the allure of the promises and the horror of the situation. My sanity hung by a thread as I teetered on the edge of a precipice. The whispers grew louder, urging me to succumb to the madness, to give in to the hallucinations and the delusions that had consumed me. Driven to the brink, I made a choice, succumbing to the seduction of the whispers. I reached out, touching the twisted reflection in the mirror, and the world around me shattered. Reality warped and twisted, and I found myself in a realm beyond comprehension. The whispers became deafening, filling my mind with a cacophony of voices, both terrifying and alluring. Hallucinations consumed my senses, blurring the boundaries between reality and nightmare. I saw monstrous creatures with writhing tentacles and glowing eyes, lurking in the shadows, watching me with malevolent intent. I heard the screams of the damned echoing through the darkness, and I felt the weight of unseen eyes bearing down on me from all directions. My mind was a chaotic mess, torn apart by the hallucinations that tormented me. I was lost in a nightmarish hellscape, unable to discern what was real and what was illusion. My emotions were a maelstrom of fear, paranoia, and madness as I struggled to maintain a semblance of sanity. But then, a voice cut through the chaos, clear and distinct. It was my own voice, echoing in my mind, reminding me of who I once was. It was a flicker of sanity, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. With newfound resolve, I fought against the madness that threatened to consume me. I pushed through the illusions, ignoring the whispers and the temptations that taunted me. I stumbled through the nightmarish landscape, desperate to find a way out, to escape the horrors that surrounded me. As I pressed on, the hallucinations intensified, trying to lure me back into their grasp. I saw familiar faces of loved ones, but distorted into grotesque, twisted forms. I heard voices whispering my name, urging me to embrace the madness, to surrender to the alluring promises of power and knowledge. But I refused to yield. With every step, I pushed against the illusions, clinging to the flicker of sanity that remained. I refused to let the madness consume me, determined to find my way back to reality. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I stumbled upon a clearing. The whispers were gone, the hallucinations faded, and I found myself back in the familiar woods that I once knew. The sense of relief washed over me, but I was forever changed. As I emerged from the woods, I realized that I had aged years in what felt like a few hours. My mind was scarred by the horrors I had witnessed, and the memories of the hallucinations haunted me still. But I was grateful to have escaped with my sanity intact, a lesson learned the hard way. The massive event that concluded my ordeal was the realization that the whispers had been a manifestation of my own inner demons, my descent into madness, and my struggle to retain my sanity. It was a battle between reality and illusion, a test of my own sanity, and a reminder of the thin line that separates the two. Now, whenever I venture into the woods, I hear faint whispers in the wind, a chilling reminder of the horrors I had experienced.